Yo, yo, I'm Yovan Buha, Lakers beat writer for The Athletic, and welcome to another Lakers postgame reaction show. Just got back from Crypto.com Arena, where the Lakers fell 130 to 120 in a very important game against the Sacramento Kings. This was a game that the Lakers, afterward, players were calling a must-win, and Darvin Ham, before the game, laid out the stakes of, this is one of our most important games remaining in the season. This is our chance to control our own destiny. If we beat Sacramento a couple times over the next week, we can jump them in the standings. And the stakes were very clear entering this one. And given the Lakers' history this season of winning the in-season tournament, winning that Clippers game, which I thought was a turning point for them, winning that Celtics game, some of these OKC wins, the Suns wins, they've had some pretty big wins in key moments during this season. And I think that for them has been something they've really leaned on in terms of being bullish on their chance to advance far in the postseason, has been when they've felt like their season's been on the brink of spiraling out of control, or they've lost a few games in a row, and they really need to lock in and win a game. They're capable of doing so. And if there ever was a game to do so, it was this one, and they just couldn't do it. And it's interesting to see the dichotomy between how they started the Thunder game, trailing 20-8, first 13-2, then 20-8, then responding with a 44-23 run to take control of that game. And this was the exact opposite, where the Lakers go up 37-18. They have a 19-point lead with 152 left in the first quarter. And from that point on, they just get demolished. They get outscored 54-20 the rest of the first half. Sacramento continues to extend their lead into the second half. They get up by as many as 22 in the third. And then the Lakers make a couple runs. They are prone for the fake comeback and making things a little interesting when they're down big. But I think that the closest they got was within 12 a couple times, and they just couldn't get over the hump. Every time they got it to 12, 14, Sacramento responded. Typically De'Aaron Fox, but also Malik Monk. Both guys just completely went off. Have the box score here. Fox had 44, including 32 points in the paint. Didn't almost outscore the Lakers, but he had 32. They had 50 as a team. So that's they as in the Lakers. Kings had 76 as a team. Malik Monk had 26 off the bench. It's just a ridiculous shooting display with those two. But let's get into the three takeaways. Takeaway number one, to me, this was the worst loss of the season. I'm not going to mince words. For those who have been following my channel for the last 6 weeks or so, listening to my post-game reactions, I try to give measured takes. I try to offer objective and fair perspectives for the most part. And to me, this was the worst loss of the season. And there are several contenders. Just off the top of my head, I think of that Miami loss in January, the Memphis loss, the Brooklyn loss, the Houston loss on the front end of that Houston-Atlanta back-to-back. I'm probably the Philly loss in Philly was pretty bad. We could go down the list, and there's probably a few I didn't mention that. If you think there's a worse loss, let me know in the comments. But to me, this was the worst loss because inherently every game moving forward is more valuable. And this loss basically ensured that the Kings are going to be ahead of the Lakers in the standings. The Lakers are now 34 and 30. The Kings are 35 and 26. And, so given that the teams have not played the same amount of games, it's kind of can be tough to compare records. But if you just look at the loss column now, Lakers are 4 games back of the Kings. And even if they win next week in Sacramento, that only gets you to 3 back. And of course, part of this is on Sacramento and how they fare the rest of the way and how the Lakers fare the rest of the way. But Kings won the season series now. They're up 3-0 on it. They've won 7 straight, at least 7 straight. I don't know if it's even more going back to 2 seasons ago, but last year they swept the Lakers in the season series. Last year they won 3-1. This year they're up 3-0. So Lakers are 1-6 against the Kings over the last 2 seasons. And it's just been a bad matchup for them. But to me, again, given the stakes, given the Lakers being aware of the stakes and labeling this a must-win, And the fact that they lost, and not only lost, but lost in the manner that they did, with blowing a 19-point first quarter lead, getting just thrashed in the middle 2 quarters, and again, making things a little interesting at various points of the third and the fourth, but not really ever fully getting back into the game. To me, just to lose in this manner at home, I think of the one play where D'Angelo is going around, Torian setting a ball screen for him. He's trying to go around it. De'Aaron Fox pokes it loose. Kevin Huerter collects the loose ball, throws a bounce pass. De'Aaron Fox, out in transition, uncontested, reverse dunk, timeout Lakers. Kings go up 21. Crowd starts booing. And I think part of it was booing De'Aaron for he started kind of celebrating and doing like the raise the roof celebration or whatever. But part of it, I think, was the Lakers' play and the crowd's frustration with their collective play. So to me, just again, the context of this game, how important it was, and for them to lose in the manner that they did, I think this is the worst loss of the season. And there's a chance that there's a worse loss down the road. And again, maybe I'm overreacting in the moment, but given the spot that the Lakers are in and the crucial opportunity that they had to ascend in the standings, and they had a rare opportunity to beat a team directly in front of them that was only a game and a half ahead. Like, now that is a bigger gap, and it's really even bigger. I think technically now it's only 2.5 games, but it's even more than that when you look at the loss column. So this was a lost opportunity for the Lakers, and in my opinion, the worst loss of the season. Takeaway number 2 is I did not understand the Lakers' defensive game plan, and Anthony Davis called it out post-game, and AD is typically, like, he'll call himself out. He might even call his teammates. He rarely calls out the game plan, but he basically said that the reason De'Aaron Fox and Malik Monk went off was because of the game plan and because of the way that they were defending them. And I went back and watched all De'Aaron had 32 shot attempts. Malik had 19. I went back and watched all 51 shots, and some of it was incredible shot making. Those guys are very quick. Both guys have given the Lakers problems over the past couple seasons. I mean, De'Aaron Fox is one of it's like the Lakers' kryptonite. Like, for whatever reason, he's one of the players that the Lakers have really struggled to game plan for and to slow down, and he just always kills the Lakers. And Malik Monk, since leaving LA, has done the same thing. But so part of it was like a matchup thing of just Lakers didn't have great defensive matchups for those guys. I thought Austin Reeves held his own for as well as he could, and did a fairly solid job on De'Aaron. I thought Max Christie had some good moments on both guys. Torian Prince got shredded, and I did not understand putting like that, whatever you want to say about Torian's defense, positive or negative. Like, he is not a guy who locks down like quick, athletic, small guards. So him defending them made no sense. Cam Reddish didn't play. We didn't get clarity on that. I would assume that it had something to do with him coming back from his ankle injury. And it seems like the Lakers have been a bit cautious with him in terms of just his minutes and his workload coming back, still easing him back into the lineup, because this would have been a matchup for Cam, at least from a defensive perspective, to get out there. I thought Spencer was solid defensively, mainly in the right spots. But again, there was some high level difficult shot making from Monk and Fox, but the Lakers' decision to be in a deep drop, and that was what, AD didn't clarify what he meant by the game plan, but I'm assuming it was Fox and Monk going up against a deep drop in ball screens. And if you look at it, like, AD and Jackson Hayes were often in the paint, leaving Austin or Spencer or Torian or Max to try and navigate a screen kind of on an island, and it often led to either in several cases, Fox creating that separation by, either rejecting the screen or kind of faking like he was going to drive, stepping backward. And then all of a sudden he has 4 to 6 feet of space to launch an open three. Several instances, he was just able to get around the screen and go downhill and score on AD or score on Jackson, draw a foul on those guys. And there was a couple times, I think Jackson had a block on him. AD had a couple good contests, but giving De'Aaron Fox a head of steam when you're already not the quickest team defensively, just didn't make sense. And I think it allowed Fox and Monk to get into a rhythm. It's kind of similar to some of the themes we've seen from this team all season in terms of selectively leaving certain shooters, particularly on the wing, guys that the percentages say, aren't effective catch and shoot guys, or just their 3-point percentages are low. And I think the Lakers, I think their game plan or their point of attack against Sacramento was, okay, well, these guys are quick. We don't want them getting into the paint. But in that case, it was sort of like, we're going to have AD and Jackson drop back. And if they get a step, like they're right there to prevent a layup, a floater. But I think it was a bit counter. It was counteractive because Sacramento those guys just walked into open shots and, mid-range shots, threes. Again, we're able to beat multiple defenders off the dribble and get by AD, get by LeBron, get by Jackson. So I thought it was a bad game plan. Upon rewatching it, I thought it was even worse because the Lakers didn't really adjust. And even late in the game, they were basically still in a deep drop for the most part. And I think given what AD is capable of defensively, and look, I understand like Domantas Sabonis, and look, Sabonis wasn't always the screener, so that's also a cop out. Just saying because of Sabonis's passing and his ability to attack 4v3 in the short roll and different things like that. Like I get that argument of you don't want to allow Sacramento to have those advantages, but Sabonis wasn't always a screener. There was guard to guard screens, wing screens, and still it's just the current game plan just or the during the game, like the game plan just wasn't working, and the Lakers did not really adjust. They adjusted some of the matchups, but for the most part it was still just AD, Jackson, you guys drop. And as we know, Jackson is a good mobile perimeter defender for a big man. He's better in a switching scheme or playing up to touch or playing, blitzing, trapping. And I would have liked to see the Lakers do a little bit more of that. They did start to mix in some double teams a bit, but if you look at the actual shot attempts and the way that De'Aaron and Malik were able to consistently break them down in a half court setting, I'm not even talking about transition. Their transition defense was bad, and those guys are such blurs that they were able to, again, with a step or with, defenses, the big men kind of sagging back, like they were able to create separation and get high percentage looks. But even putting that aside, I just think from a half court ball screen perspective, with the way that Sacramento could spread them out and attack them in different ways, like it is tricky, and Sacramento puts you in difficult positions. But I thought that the deep drop made no sense. It allowed those guys to get into an early rhythm, and the Lakers never really countered, at least to my recollection. And again, watching all the shot attempts, I know there was some trapping and doubling occasionally mixed in, and some switching depending on who was screening. But for the most part, when it was a big screening and AD or Jackson was involved, that led to a lot of points for De'Aaron and Malik because of the way the Lakers guarded that screening action. And to me, it didn't make sense to begin with, but it also didn't make sense that they never countered and they just allowed those guys to continually burn them in the same ways. So for that, I put that on the coaching staff, and I think they deserve, if we're doing a blame pie, like they deserve a big slice of that pie, just because to me, that game plan didn't make sense. And takeaway number 3 was Anthony Davis was thoroughly outplayed by Domantas Sabonis. And this has been a trend not only with AD versus Sabonis in particular, but AD versus these types of bruising, skilled centers, but not even only skilled centers. But like if you look at, it's interestingly a lot of the European centers, but you look at Sabonis, Ivica Zubac, Jonas Valanciunas, Jusuf Nurkic, Nikola Jokic, of course, like all those types of big bruising centers have given AD problems. Arguably no one more than Sabonis. I mean, Jokic is in his own class, and that's a different situation. I mean, he's best player in the world, but like outside of that, like Nurkic and Valanciunas and Zubac are a little bit more of like the traditional bruisers, and they don't have the skill level that Sabonis does as a scorer, as a passer. But Sabonis, I thought his defense on AD was really impressive. And this is a guy that, again, if you're looking for a reason why the Lakers would be favored over the Kings, likely in a play-in matchup, I don't see them facing off in the playoffs unless the Kings somehow, ascend and like pull off an upset. But if they're in a 7-8 matchup, or the Kings are in the 7-8, Lakers are 9-10, Kings lose, now Lakers win, and like they're playing in like the 7-9 matchup, whatever. On paper, it's the Kings defense, and particularly Domantas Sabonis and his inability to protect the rim. And, he's not a Jokic type guy where he has really good hands and quick feet, and obviously a strong body, really good defensive rebounder. Like the rebounding is there for Sabonis, but I thought his post defense against AD was really impressive. I thought he held his own for the most part. So really weird game for AD. Again, looking at the box score, 14 points, 11 rebounds, and 1 block, but he had 4 fouls and had 4 fouls about midway through the third quarter. And that led to Darvin going to Taurean Prince, which made absolutely no sense. It was only about like a minute and a half, I want to say. But that was like Rui and LeBron at the 4-5, Taurean at the 3. And based on the first half, Taurean was a minus 14 in 9 minutes. And the Lakers got killed in the Taurean minutes. And again, another off night for Taurean, finishes with 6 points, a team worst minus 17 in his 15 minutes. Like, he's outside of the OKC game, he's basically been unplayable. And I know, again, it seems like Cam, for whatever reason, was held out tonight. But moving forward, I think it's got to be Max and Cam. And Taurean's role should be, I think he should be phased out of the rotation. But that aside, AD had just an uncharacteristically bad game. Again, I mentioned 14 points, but 5 of 13 shooting. He was 1 for 4 outside of the paint. His jumper just wasn't there tonight. 4 for 9 inside the paint. And most of those baskets were like a couple of offensive rebounds, 1 deep seal in transition, and 1 play where LeBron drove. There was a breakdown with the Kings interior defense. He shovels a pass to AD for an easy dunk. So like a lot of AD's baskets were actually just really easy baskets in terms of, fighting for offensive rebounding, and like you give AD credit for that, but it wasn't like, I think he only one of his shots was an actual jumper. He might have had 2 jumpers, and then the other 3 were all just point blank, baskets. So to me, this was a weird game for AD. He missed a lot of shots that he normally makes. Like, again, the jumper just wasn't there, which is what it is, but he was missing hook shots. He was missing floaters. He had a couple of close baskets that he missed. So really weird offensive performance. And then he was just thoroughly outplayed by Sabonis. 16 points, 20 rebounds, and 12 assists for Sabonis. So points that they were almost even, but he almost doubled AD on the glass, and had 4 times as many assists as him. So Sabonis is a different level of a passer, but rebounding they're close, and as a scorer, AD should AD's the better scorer between the two. So like, it's just weird how Sabonis has consistently outplayed AD. This is just a bad matchup, and I'm still trying to figure out what I want episode 2 for Buha's block to be. I've been going through different ideas for it. I'm definitely going to be a mailbag portion, and I might just do an entire mailbag episode. But one of the ideas I was weighing was ranking the other 9 teams in the West, the top 6 playoff teams and the other 3 teams in the play-in, and ranking them from best matchup for the Lakers to worst matchup for the Lakers. And I was debating between the Sacramento Kings and the New Orleans Pelicans for the best matchup, just because even though those teams have maybe stronger front courts than the Oklahoma City Thunder, for example, the Thunder have been a top 5 offense and defense all season. So like, while I do think they are an easier matchup than like the Clippers or the Nuggets, I still think from just a talent perspective, the Thunder are better than a team like the Pelicans or the Kings. But after watching this game, and again, seeing that the Lakers are 1-6 against the Kings in the Darvin Ham era, like it is tough to have confidence about the Lakers in this matchup. Like, for whatever reason, De'Aaron Fox goes supernova. Domantas Sabonis outplays AD, and the Lakers just really struggle containing the Kings 5-out offense and their shooting. And it's weird because the Lakers won the 3-point battle. They also dominated the free throw battle, and turnovers were about even. So like you look at those three categories, and that typically would go in the Lakers. You know, if those go in the Lakers' favor, you would think they win the game. But they were killed on the glass, plus 12 for the Kings. And then just the points in the paint again, 76-50 in favor of the Kings. And then fast break points, 26-19 in favor of the Kings. So that, you know, to me, it was a combination of just like Lakers failing to rise to the moment and having one of their worst stretches of the season at one of the worst possible times in that end of first into second into like mid to late third quarter. Two, defensive game plan did not make sense to me, particularly their on ball pick and roll defense, or their defense with the their big men and being in a drop. And then three, Anthony Davis just got thoroughly outplayed by Domantas Sabonis, which has been a trend now. He's 0-9 against Sabonis for his career, which just doesn't really make sense, but it's been a thing and it's been an issue. One quick thing before we wrap up. LeBron exited the game at the 3:56 mark. It was unclear what happened. He just walked off during the timeout, went back to the locker room. Darvin Ham, when we speak with Darvin first, then we speak with the players. Darvin said he wasn't sure, just that LeBron was being evaluated. He didn't know what the injury was. LeBron confirmed post-game that he's going to be all right. It was just his left ankle injury that's been ongoing now for several months. And I asked him, how much does he have to deal with that in games? Like, what's it like game to game? And he said it really just depends on the given night. And that the OKC game, for example, he felt great. This game, he felt great for the most part, but then late, it just reared up and it started bothering him. And he said it wasn't a way he stepped or jumped or anything like that. It's just what was something that popped up. So that's something to monitor moving forward, is LeBron's ankle, and this continues to be a thing. You can't really tell with his play, and like that's like the one thing I do want to give. He deserved, like, LeBron had 31 and 13. He was the one carrying the Lakers in that second half in terms of their couple of their runs to get within 12. Rui had 29 and just did a really good job of attacking the Kings' mismatches. A lot of times they're putting Kevin Huerter on him, or some of these small, like Keon Ellis or even a Harrison Barnes. Like Rui should be able to score in those matchups. So he did a really good job just attacking from the corners. He made 3 threes and didn't get to the free throw line, surprisingly. But I thought, he hit 13 for 17. Like, Rui had a really good game. Then again, Austin had 18, and I thought, that's a mismatch, him versus De'Aaron Fox, but he held his own. And on film, at least, I don't know the matchup data, but seemed like De'Aaron hit a few jumpers on him, but I would think off the top of my head, he shot under 50% just based on quickly going through all of his shot attempts. So that will do it for today's episode. I got a new camera. This is my first mirrorless camera, so upgraded from the iPhone. It was doing the continuity camera, so hope this quality is a bit better as I continue to grow and build out the channel. As always, be sure to comment, like, subscribe. Let me know what you thought the worst loss of the season is, if you thought it was this or you thought it was something else. And also check out Buha's Block. Episode 2 will be coming out Friday morning. So I will be recording that tomorrow and then going up Friday. And if you haven't checked out episode 1, it's on my YouTube channel with Austin Reeves and Trent Swaim of Hillbilly Bogey, also on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, etc. So thank you guys. Lakers are in a tough position now. Friday they play Milwaukee, a Milwaukee team that I believe is won 6 of 7. Is playing much better coming out of the All-Star break. Did just lose to Golden State. But that's another thing. Lakers dropped to 10th with this loss, Golden State winning. They keep yo-yoing back and forth between 9 and 10. But 10 is not a spot you want to be in, because that means 2 road games to get into the playoffs. And Lakers have not been good on the road this season. So we shall see. Friday's another big game. From here on out, every game is a must-win. But specifically, Sacramento and Golden State, those are the two. Those are the 2 matchups that the Lakers have to win if they want to move up in the standings. But that'll do it. I appreciate you guys watching, and I will talk to you soon.